Hi everyone, welcome to the Premium FPL podcast at premium_FPL on Twitter. I'm not sure we mentioned it last week, but we've hit the magic 500 mark on Twitter thanks to Mindy's great work in the most. But a great landmark for us in the first season. We're pleased with that. We're looking ahead to Gameweek 28 after 27, which promised so much, but everyone kind of ended up at a similar mark, other than my brother, who ended up with 30 points. Sorry, But all in all, we were all victims of Pep roulette in one game, weren't we? But solid week for both of us, you'd say?
Yeah, decent week. I think most happy with probably hitting the 500 followers on Twitter. It's time for you to get us 500 subscribers on YouTube now, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the aim. You never know. In the new year, we'll have a few things coming for the end of the new season.
But yeah, everything sort of changed last night with the last game. A lot of talking points from just that in itself. And then there's VAR up to its old tricks as well, which got a lot of people's piss boiling, didn't it?
Yeah, that Foden one. I don't know if you watched the game. Andy Hinchcliffe on co-coms. He's normally quite a solid co-commentator. And they showed him about 10 different replays. It's almost as if the director was like, no, and he just went, yeah, you can see it there. Yeah, not enough for a penalty for me. And he absolutely crunched it. Yeah, bizarre.
Yeah, I saw. Did you see Madison's tweet?
Yeah.
He was like, is he on the wind-up?
I bet he wish he could have that 5 minutes back. I think he committed and he was like, well, I can't go back now. I've just got to commit. But yeah. Interesting.
There was one angle where it looked like it didn't make contact, but then every other angle, it was obviously did. So yeah, I don't know what he was thinking.
He's quite young. Well, obviously he's quite young, Foden, isn't he? So a bit naive, but you just know that in the dressing room after Pep saying you need to go down there, and it's like we criticise players for going down for so little, but when not getting penalties like that, you can see why. Obviously, you got your Salahs and people like that who get criticised, but if you're getting penalties, then you've got to do it, haven't you? So it's catch-22, really.
Yeah. Well, let's move on from refereeing and VAR.
Yeah.
So it's an early deadline this week, 12th of 6:30 tomorrow, and we're recording Thursday lunchtime. So any injuries that happen in Europa League tonight, keep across those. We won't have we're not across them at time of recording. And anything else we need to mention before we get started? You know what? We've not looked at our we've not done an update on our prize league in a while. I'll just quickly.
Yeah, go for it.
Quickly look at that. So I think when we last reported on it, Mr. Mike Swain was top, but it's now me and you top of our own league. So
no one's going to be joining next year.
But obviously, you and I can't win our own cash prize, really. I don't know why we put ourselves in it, to be fair, because it's.
Why not? Speak for yourself. I'd love taking money off you.
No, but it's like people who, you know, like when people do the lottery, it's like people who work for the lottery can't win the lottery and stuff like that. It's kind of like the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
I guess we should have spoken about this off air before we. But anyway,
Mike's going to be expecting a payout now.
Well, I'll see if I get a message off him. He might not be listening this week. But yeah, it's still not too late to like it's still open, really, isn't it? With the amount of people in it. So
yeah, we were hoping the chances. Well, yeah, there's a few, we were hoping that we wouldn't win the league, but yeah, like you say, next year probably worth us not going in it.
What was I going to say? Yeah, so if you're in the league, or if you want to enter the league, if you want to be eligible for the cash prize, just leave us a review on iTunes and leave your name in the review. Because yeah, just the more positive reviews we get on iTunes, we'll start getting promoted hopefully at some point, or flagged up in searches when people are searching for fantasy podcasts, which obviously helps us.
Yeah, absolutely. What is do you know the code off by out?
It's
if you're watching on YouTube, it'll be displayed here, but
I'm pretty sure it's via fuck you, isn't it? That's how I remembered it.
VEAFYU. Yeah.
But yeah, let's get into game week review. What was your so you got 78, didn't you? How many points did you get?
76. So you go first with a 78. Are you just rubbing that in? You're closing the gap now. It's 43 points.
43. It feels like it's always 40 points though. It's like I'm just not. I don't know. I'm catching up on some people, but not quite with you yet. Foden came through for me last night. That was the main. He's the main differential in my team that I've got a difference with the people. I think. He could have had like 2 goals in that game. He played so well, didn't he?
Yeah, brilliant.
Like,
yeah.
The fact that you didn't get a goal and he got man of the match says a lot. But I guess that's Andy Hinchcliffe giving him man of the match. So
he probably felt bad. I bet if Pep wished he could have the derby back, then he might have changed the team going off last night. Obviously, Kev, false 9, Foden.
I think Foden should be playing over Sterling. He just seems to look so much more effective and assured when he gets the ball, especially in the box.
It's not a bad shout. Sterling's been very disappointing. He was disappointing in the derby.
Yeah, so that's going to bring us on to some of the stuff we talk about later, like with City players, what to do with them, especially now the defense is being rotated a lot. But yes, 78 points, happy with that. Kane obviously came through with a massive haul. People who went for Bale this week would have been highly rewarded as well. I noticed someone actually on one of our followers. What did they do? The Captain Kane. They went against the grain this week. Captain Kane because of the City rotation, and they've ended up going from 23k to 4k.
Oh, Jesus.
So yeah, and they had Son as well, which helped. So yeah, it just shows that in those high ranks, like if you are aiming to push into the top 10, which he's just done with that move, and he's into the top 5k now. So what's his handle? Siler Ryden.
Great move.
Yeah,
we did talk about Kane, didn't we, last week? And then we were both swayed by the romance of the double, but it didn't come. Yeah, unless you had Kev, it didn't really fruit into too much.
Yeah, a good example of like a calculated gamble on a differential captain that. So yeah, well done to him. My rank has gone from about 80k to 68k, so a little jump there. I think my aim is now top 20k to get into that by the end of the season. Just looking how close it is, and with the chips I've got left, I think top 10k might be a bit of a stretch now, but we'll see. That's still the ultimate benchmark, isn't it? Top 10, but it just seems to get harder every year.
Yeah, but there's plenty of time left, and that wild card could come in very handy.
Yeah, do you want to run through your week?
Yeah, so like I said, 2 points off you, 76. Kane probably delivered. We talked about that we could have captained him, but Gundogan got 10 in the end. I think it was his only shot in the box over the 2 games, so we kind of got lucky with that, and it was a follow-up from I think it was Mahrez who took the shot. Fernandes, a lot of people sold him last week, didn't they? And he kind of paid reward to the people who stuck with him. I know it was a penalty, but 10 points is still good. And then Martinez train rolls on 7, Kufal, West Ham sold 9 to stopping. So yeah, I think I've made a slight jump from about 21 to 18. So like you say, that team's very that pack in the top 10 to like 30k. Everyone's pretty much got the same team. So captaincy choice could become pivotal as we approach the end of the season. Shaw, 14 points on my bench was a bit gutting, but I was never going to play him away at City. So it's one of them. You can't really be too begrudging.
What was I going to say? Speak just before you go into your rank update. Josh got Shaw off the bench because Rudiger didn't play, and he only brought in Rudiger this week. How lucky is that?
Yummy bastard.
And he's had a bad week as well. I was saying, is that head's gone a little bit. He's talking about panic wildcard and all this sort of stuff. We're at that stage in the season where having me 5 points behind him now, he's starting to
the wheels coming off, starting to overthink it.
Yeah, tractors running into the field, turbo tractors. He's gonna need some new tires on that tractor, I think. But yeah, I was just thinking. So he ended up on 66. If he hadn't got those lucky Shaw points off the bench, I would have overtaken him this week. But yeah, I guess there's a bit of skill in that, isn't there? Having a strong squad, kind of.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. In the kind of season it is, I think we've preached a strong bench is key, isn't it? Especially with the European competition, some teams playing every 3 days, especially Pep's team. And now Tommy Tuchel's team that everyone wants to get, but we've got to be aware of rotation that we're going to talk about.
Well, I think the week that I do overtake Josh, I reckon he might just leave his team, like quit. I think he might just like do a Piers
Out
Morgan.
protest.
Yeah, just walk out the studio like a Piers Morgan. He'll just like fuck this. I think if he captains Sterling again and he doesn't deliver, I reckon tip him over the edge.
Yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it? What do you do with Sterling? Because he didn't play midweek, and that normally means he's going to play weekend. But then when he's so out of form, is he going to score? It's a tricky one.
Yeah,
I think we're going to answer it in the questions, aren't we?
Yeah. But anyway, we went off on a tangent there. So what's your rank? Has it moved at all?
Yeah, moved up slightly, 18k now. So, like yourself, got the wildcard free hit, and I've also got the bench boost. And I'm hoping the plan I've got now, I've used them all by 33, so that's only 6 game weeks. So hopefully 3 chips in 6 game weeks might move my rank a bit.
Nice. Yeah, I think if I can end kind of like where you are now, probably by the end of the season, that I'd be happy with that.
It's funny. I was just doing some planning last night, as you do. Well, us freaks do. And I kind of just stumbled across bench boost in 30. I think if you build a strong team 29 and you've still got United and a few City assets, the bench boost almost opens up because everyone who's got a good game, everyone who plays in 29 has got a good game in 30. So that's a new one to add to the mix.
Yeah, I mean, I've well, as I cried about last week, my bench boost was kind of not spunked up the wall, but just squandered slightly. Didn't really make the most of it. But yeah,
it's a shit chip, and you want to get rid of it as soon as, which is why if I can get rid of it before my wild card, it makes life a hell of a lot easier.
Well, you say it's a shit chip. I think it has been for a lot of managers this season, but someone in the FPL who's big on FPL Twitter, Tom Freeman, he's on a few other podcasts and stuff, and he's got a good record at the game. He actually bench boosted the week just gone, and he had players like Craig Dawson on his bench. So
so there is ways you can make rank.
It's just sometimes you have to be really specific to your own team with how you plan it. So I think what he did was he wildcarded the week before, and he put those cheap players who had a good game on his bench and benched them in that week, and then so he'd have them for the bench boost this week. So obviously Dawson and Sam Johnston and players like that have come through. He's done well. He's done well this week. So yeah, it's one of those chips where sometimes like doing what everyone's doing doesn't work.
It's just the trickiest chip, isn't it, to manage. Like the other ones, wild card, free hit, and triple captain. You don't really have to worry about the repercussions. The bench boost, the one that you manage your team around, which just makes it tricky.
It has implications to your budget, doesn't it? Having the money on
the
bench
absolutely.
For those players and that sort of stuff. But yeah, we've learned a bit from that for next season. I guess you've learned from everyone else's mistakes when you use yours for the end of the season, probably.
Hopefully, we'll see how it goes.
Should we talk through what we're going through this week? Do you want to go through the running order?
Yeah, so we're going to talk about the first one. Obviously, it's changed since his goal last night. It's Salah and Liverpool. He blanked again at the weekend, but he did score last night. So what to do, really? People are stuck in a conundrum with him. The Man City defence, I think they've conceded last 4 games now. So is the emphasis switching back to attack? Is the template now 2 attackers and 1 defender? We'll talk about that. Bale and Spurs are back. 2 big wins now. They've got North London derby at the weekend, but then they've got favourable fixtures in 29-30. I think it's Villa and Newcastle. So they could be the ones to jump on. And then the final one is another team that's in great form, Thomas Tuchel's Chelsea. I think it's the first time a manager has kept 5 clean sheets in his first 5 Premier League games. So that defence, the transformation he's done really since Lampard. It's tricky because you don't want to say Lampard did a shit job, but it kind of sees what a great coach does to a football team, and he's pretty much turned that team around, and they look great, especially in defence.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say now, isn't it? Because there's always a bit of a new manager bounce when a new guy comes in with the players who've not been favoured getting a chance and they step up. Like Alonso has sort of stepped up, Rudiger stepped up, getting that chance again. I think it's probably a bit early to sort of say that Lampard was doing a shit job, but yeah, he definitely wasn't getting the most out of like the players they bought in the summer, was he? Like Kai Havertz looks a bit more involved in this position that Tuchel's had him playing. So yeah.
It'll depend how they end the season. I know they've got favourable fixtures now. That's why I'm looking to get them in, especially on a wild card. But yeah, like you say, be interested to see when the new manager bounces over whether he's still doing that. But I think when you watch the game, you can see the coaching that he's already done, where sometimes the new manager comes in and it's all just momentum, really, whereas you can kind of see the foundations that he's laying there. So I do think it'll continue.
Yeah, and the fact that he put so much thought into who he's starting each week, changing the team for each team, like, shows he's kind of got like an element of strategy and like that sort of tactician mentality of horses for courses, which is annoying for us, of course.
We've got 2 roulette wheels now spinning at the same time. What's going to happen?
Yeah, it's like poker stars. Tuchel's joined the table with Pep. Yeah, we'll talk about all that when we get to it. So let's start with Salah.
Yeah,
we both got him, haven't we?
Yeah, we both got him. Yeah, I think what makes it easier for me and you is the game against Wolves. I think Wolves is an all right game, and then obviously they haven't got a game in 29, and then they play Arsenal away in 30, and we're wild card 31 anyway. So I think for those with that strategy, it makes sense to hold this week and get them out in 29, because then it'll free up the budget to get other players in. But if I didn't have the wild card, I think that's when the questions start to answer. Do you bring him out?
That's when the questions start to answer.
Questions start to arise. Sorry.
Yeah, I think, but you could also say that we've got the advantage of being able to take him out and not worry about getting him back in because we've got the wild card. Like,
that's what I'm saying. We take him out in 29 regardless, and then we can make the decision in 31 wild card whether we want him back or not. That's the decision for us to make then. Whereas, obviously, with Aubameyang playing in 29, Bale playing in 29, there's an argument if you've not got the wild card, you take him out now and get them 2 games.
Yeah, I think the other factor is we saw Liverpool's lineup in the Premier League last week. Was it Mane and Firmino were rested?
Yeah. Salah's the only one who's played both, which, he's a good shout.
So will Salah even start against Wolves? Now that Klopp's rotating and taking the Champions League seriously, and they've done well in their 2 Champions League games.
I think what will help that is they play on Monday, don't they?
Yeah.
Which Wednesday to Monday, sorry, is quite a big turnaround. So that might help. But yeah, there's always the element that it might get a rest. Because Jota's back now as well, isn't he?
The other thing is that we've seen already in this season that was it against Palace where Salah was benched, but then he came on and scored 2 in the second half. So it doesn't. It's with a player like that being benched doesn't always mean that you're not going to get points. But I'm actually wondering whether Salah out this week and getting one of Bale or Aubameyang early could be a move.
Yeah, ahead of 29. Yeah.
Because just because of the goals that are in the North London derby, like traditionally there are goals in the North London derby with Arteta and Mourinho as the managers, maybe not so much. So yeah, I'm not sure on that still, but what I'd say in terms of what you were talking about before, for people who don't have a wild card and looking to get rid of Salah, the week where you definitely want him back is probably game week 32, Leeds, isn't it? Maybe the week before against Villa.
I think that's the next time. 32 is probably when you start to think the Liverpool player might be a captain choice. So yeah, that's probably.
So if you've not got a wild card, what I'd say is if you're getting rid of Salah, don't spread all that money around. Like, don't start with all the cash you've got. You end up in your bank. Don't start like upgrading your keeper and your defense, because then you won't be able to get Salah back in one or two moves when you need him. So, go maybe that if you go into Aubameyang, for example, at least then it's an easy swap back from Aubameyang to Salah, because there's not that much price difference in it. Just keep like, make sure when it comes to that week you've got $1 million in the bank, so you can just do it in one move without taking a hit. That would probably be the advice for people not on a wild card, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I'll go along with that. It's funny how this year, especially, a week seems to be a long time, because if they didn't have that game against Leipzig, we'll be talking here as if like selling, because Liverpool were absolutely woeful against Fulham. But yeah, they kind of turned it around again last night. So yeah,
it's kind of thought that after the game they won against Leipzig, the first leg in the Champions League, though, they just
turned the corner. Yeah,
they turn it's like they're on a roundabout. They turn a corner and then just go back round. Like, they just keep missing their exit. They're just going around in a circle. So
yeah.
I'm not sure that that's convinced me at all anymore on Salah.
Right.
The fact that he scored last night. Yeah, and Wolves. I mean, on the day they can be really hard to score against, but the data actually shows that over the last few games they're actually not that great for expected goals conceded. So yeah, they're showing as a team that have not conceded as many as they should have, basically. So Liverpool could score against them. Like, they're not the same Wolves as last year, which we've talked about before. So it's a tricky one, but I think you're not gonna, if you're not captaining them and you really fancy someone in like Aubameyang. Like, Aubameyang is like really up there in the stats now the past few weeks, like in terms of his shot numbers, and he's been creating a few chances as well. And he plays 29, so it's I can see the temptation.
The only thing that puts me off on Aubameyang is the rotation factor. I know he's not going to be rested for a North London derby, so I won't worry about that. But in 29, that come off the back of the 2 Europa League games, and it's almost if they get through in that, Arteta's focus might start to shift, because they're miles away, aren't they, from Europe and the Premier League?
They are. The thing is with that, though, is in terms of the options, it seems like there's a rotation risk with Salah with the Champions League fixtures and Klopp starting to rotate. And then the alternatives, Bale's, like Mourinho said after the game last week, that he's not sure he can give him more than 65, 70 minutes to risk him out getting a muscle injury. So there's that risk there. That with Bale, you're hoping he's going to get his points within 60, 65 minutes. And Son, Son's looking like he's assured for more minutes, but Tottenham are still in the Europa League as well. So it's almost like you just sort of have to roll with that, don't you?
Yeah, no, fair enough.
I think this week, like tonight, seeing the lineups, like how many minutes the Tottenham and like how many minutes Bale, Son, and Aubameyang get tonight, and like just seeing like how seriously the managers are.
I'm thinking this. I might get this completely wrong, but I don't think Bale will play the Europa League now. I think he'll be safe for the Premier League, especially because they've got Zagreb, which on paper looks quite easier. So I think he'll be safe for the Prem, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Whereas Arsenal travel to Olympiacos, that looks a bit more of a threat.
So here's a question for you. One thing that might help people decide between going Aubameyang or Bale or Son. In the game week 29, in the blank, who's more likely to concede? Like Arsenal have got West Ham, and Spurs have got Villa. So they're both decentish defenses, aren't they? But
who's more likely to score? I'd go with Tottenham. Aston Villa the last few weeks have got quite. I don't know if you watched the Wolves game, but Roman Saiss is missed, and then a few others. Aston Villa started to tail off a little bit, whereas West Ham show no signs of stopping. They've been really good. So I'd probably side with Tottenham, to be honest.
Yeah. Would you? So most people have got. I think if you've not got Kane, get him. Like he's probably the best premium to have now, isn't he? But it's just
Kane, no brainer.
It's just having Kane, Son, and Bale, or do you want to double up or triple up, or do you want to split the risk and get Aubameyang in with his form as well? It's I think that's what I've got to decide on this week because.
So are you set on taking Salah out?
I'm not set on it, but
right.
I'm definitely partial to it.
Okay, get off that fence.
There's nothing. Well, I want to see what happens in the Europa League tonight. Like if Aubameyang gets 90 tonight, that puts me off heavily getting Aubameyang in, for example.
Right. Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Yeah, because I know you said he won't get played he won't be rested for the North London derby, but if you look at it from Arteta's point of view, they're so far off the top four in the league that Europa League kind of is his main priority in terms of probably getting into the Champions League for next season.
I think for Arsenal that competition is a lot more important because I think if Tottenham, they've won the last 3 now in the league, if they continue that, there's no reason why they can't get the top 4. They're 7 points off at the moment. No, 5 points off. So
conceivably, you could play Lacazette up front.
I just thought North London derby would play his best team, but yeah, you're right. It's sandwiching between the Europa League isn't ideal.
Yeah, exactly. It's those sort of things that annoy. But sometimes you can overthink it, can't you? And it's like, but yeah, I think we've said all we can say on that probably.
And we've come to no finer conclusion. So I think the next topic we're going to talk about is a lot easier. City, like we said, we conceded 4 in 4, and I think as we start to, hopefully wrap up the league in the next few weeks, rotation will be a bit more. But I think City play the best football when the pressure's off. So I think the attackers will still continue to fire. You've just got to pick the ones that aren't rested. But yeah, I think that emphasis it was early on in the season now, wasn't it, where it was the triple up defense was the way to go, or double and Gundogan. I think that's going to switch over the next few weeks, especially when people start to activate the wild cards. I think for me now it's probably Diaz and 2 midfielders. I think that's the way to go, and then you kind of pick who you want really. De Bruyne looked bad in the derby, but then scored 2 last night. So you just don't know. I think that's an advantage to us. By the wild card comes around, we can kind of see who's firing. But yeah, I think that emphasis from defense first, great defense, will start to tail off.
Yeah, I'd definitely say Stones and Cancelo are basically they're just not the same options as they were, are they? Like Laporte's playing a lot of games, and it seems to be like rather than those players playing 3 or 4 and 5, it's like it could be like 1 or 2 and 4 or something. So yeah, Diaz for defense, and I came off having 2 City defenders a few weeks ago, so I've been quite happy with that, especially as they've been conceding recently as well. So I think there's an argument for at the moment maybe just having 2 City players.
Yeah, that would be the one. If it was to have 3, it'd be defense and 2 midfielders. But yeah, even the 2's coming strong now, I think.
What I feel like, have we slept on Mahrez? Like, we've not really talked about him, but I think we mentioned that he's played so many games in a row last week, but we didn't really talk about getting him in.
No, and he's still playing. He's absolute form, fire.
So I saw something yesterday. So yeah, that was his sixth league game in a row last night, and only Edison and Ruben Diaz can match that. So it's just the problem with Pep is that there was a point in time earlier in the season where Mahrez was on fire, and then all of a sudden he was just dropped for 3 games in a row or something. And I don't know. I just always have that in the back of my mind with Mahrez, but when he's playing well, like he's just explosive, isn't he?
Yeah, no, you're right. Well, Foden is as well. You just got to pick one he's gonna. You just don't know. What are we now? We're 14 points ahead with 10 games to go. You'd think hopefully it'd be wrapped up in like 3 or 4 more games, and it's almost as if the FA Cup and Carling Cup games almost take priority over that as well as the Champions League. So you just don't know who's going to start to play in the league games. But I do think the pressure off will suit City attackers because they're going to play brilliant football anyway. So yeah, I think they'll still get points in the midfield.
Yeah, like, and with Foden so I've had Foden, and yeah, minutes been patchy, but at his price, I can sort of stomach the risk, the benching risk. But with Mahrez, it's just he does cost that bit more, doesn't he? Where you want him to be playing most of the games for that price. So yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
not sure what to do with Foden. Because yeah, if he is going to be playing more, like, as you say, with the pressure being off, Pep might be happy to play him more. Like the upside of having him, especially with his ownership compared to the other City assets, it could continue to be a good differential for me. So I'm not sure what to do with Foden. With the blank coming, I'm probably going to have to get rid of him. It's whether I get him back on the wild card or not.
Yeah, I think Foden might be the strongest shout actually when the wild card comes around because, like you say, he's playing brilliant. But whether he's going to be in the team in the Champions League quarterfinals, semis, when the pressure's really on, does Pep trust him that much? So he might get the most minutes in the Premier League.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, Gundogan's going from his only shot. Like, it was quite obvious that he was playing a lot deeper yesterday.
Yeah, I'm not sure he's as strong of an option as he is now. The only thing that goes against him is 40% on. So if you don't have him in, he does get 2. You kind of fucked.
And yeah, all the chances that were falling in and around the box tended to be falling to like Mahrez, Foden, and it's just the thing in his favour is just how consistent he's been in his minutes in the Premier League compared to everybody else.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's as tricky as it ever was with Pep, wasn't it? I don't know. We can be clear that coming off of double City defence.
Yeah, I think it's Diaz or no one really. Well, probably Diaz because you kind of you don't want to completely fall off the whole. You don't want to not have any City defense, do you? Well, it'd be some differential if you didn't, but yeah, Diaz is the one.
Right. Yeah. Well, let's move on to Tottenham.
Yeah, we've already talked about them, but like you say, Bale's just taken them onto another level, really. I think the top of all the attacking stats, and I think the effect he's had on Kane's like shots and big chances in the box as well has gone up. So he's almost made Kane an even stronger FPL asset, which is unfathomable, really.
I think the thing we've got to be careful about with looking at Tottenham's stats and how they've improved is that the last 3 games were Burnley, Fulham, and Palace.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah.
So it's kind of like this week against Arsenal is kind of like the litmus
test.
test, yeah, for Bale, and like is he back at it like at his best? But yeah, he's definitely. I think the thing that struck me is like how wide Son is now, and how much further like centrally Bale is comparatively. Like he's in the box, he's in like the 6-yard box for headers, and it seems to be Son putting in crosses more. And it like looking at Son's stats, his shot numbers are fallen, but his chance creation's got higher. Whereas for Bale, it's more about the shots. So it's like you have to pick your poison. Do you want the minutes and the assist potential with Son, or do you want to take the risk on the goals in fewer minutes with Bale if you pick in between them? I think the other thing that goes in Son's favour is that now that his chance creation numbers have gone up, his baseline bonus has gone up as well, so he's more likely to be in the bonus points, which is something else in his favour. But yeah, it's a tricky one. That you're already on Son, aren't you?
Yeah, I've got Son and Kane, and I am gonna, unless something spectacular happens, I'm gonna have Bale for 29 as well, the triple up. I'm still kicking myself. 2 weeks ago, we sat here and I talked about Bale, and you just laughed at me, and then that was that. And since then, he got 19 and 15 or something.
Yeah, it's because I knew I couldn't get him, and I just couldn't face you having him.
But yeah, 29-30. The Villa game doesn't look that much difficult now, especially if Grealish isn't back. And then Newcastle's the game after, and Newcastle's almost the game to be at the moment, isn't it? Because they look bad.
Yeah. So and obviously, if you don't have Kane, we should probably stress you need to get Kane.
Yeah, absolutely.
His numbers at the moment are just amazing. He's been consistent when he's been fit all season, really, hasn't he? So we don't really need to sell him as an option. It's more just I'd probably say to people, if you haven't got Kane but you've got Salah, that's probably an easy. If you've got free transfers this week as well, downgrade Salah and get Kane. I'd recommend that without much hesitation, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I go along with that.
Anything else you want to say in Spurs? The defense, it's not really. I don't know if it's not because the rotation, I don't know how to say his name properly.
Reguilon, yeah.
He always looks good when he plays, but there's that slight rotation risk with Ben Davies, isn't there?
Yeah, and they're still conceding goals to Spurs. The defense still doesn't look great, and as the emphasis has gone more on attack now with Bale as well, I still fancy that they'll concede a few goals. So defense isn't probably somewhere where I'll invest when it comes to Spurs.
Fair enough. And then, I guess that's it really with Tottenham. So you're sort of going big on them potentially with the triple up.
Yeah, like you say, if Bale,
it'll be a double up.
If Bale stays fit the next two and Spurs look good against Arsenal, then yeah, probably the triple up for Villa Newcastle games, and then assess again in the wild card 31.
Right, fair play. Right, Chelsea then. I'll let you start on Chelsea.
Yeah, obviously 5 clean sheets now in a row, and I think the possession they're averaging is like 66% or something crazy. And you can see, like I said, we've talked about in the intro, the coaching that Tuchel's done. And the only thing that makes it difficult is they don't have a game in 29. Obviously got Leeds next, which I do fancy another clean sheet in, because Leeds against the top 6 do not look great, do they? They almost get bullied in them games. But actually, I think when 30 comes...
I've done some research on that, actually. Let me just quickly...
Have you backed up the point, I'm going to say, or are you just going to go against it?
No, yeah, to back up the point. So yeah, what was the point? Leeds against the top 6. So
yeah, they just seem to get bullied.
So yeah, so against Liverpool they lost 4-3. City and Arsenal earlier in the season they had a 1-1 and a 0-0, which was decent, which was all right. But then 3-1 to Chelsea in the reverse fixture, 6-2 to United, 3-0 to Tottenham, 4-2 to Arsenal. So in Chelsea's current form, Leeds' current form, you'd think there's another hefty scoreline incoming. So yeah, that was just there to back up your point.
Oh, thank you. So yeah, almost like the blank in 29 though kind of puts you off to an extent if you're not free hitting that 29. But then when 30 comes around, it's West Brom, Palace, and Brighton. The next 3 after that. So the defense, especially, somewhere I'm going to invest, and they almost are the Man City in the early game weeks. So I'm going to look at 2. I think Mendy's probably going to be the standout keeper option, because I think Villa's games toughen up around the same time. I think they got Liverpool and City in that time. So I think Mendy's probably the obvious one, and then one of the defenders. I know you've done a bit of research, and Azpilicueta looks like the guy who's going to play every game. Rudiger was alongside him before he got his rest on Monday.
Since Tuchel's come in, Azpi's played the most minutes, 900, and then second is Rudiger, third is Mendy, because there were those couple of games where inexplicably he decided to play Kepa for a little bit just for shits and giggles by the looks of it.
I don't think he's going to get. I think he was just giving him a few games. He might play in the FA Cup, I suppose. Kepa.
And then I for some reason in my head I thought that Mount had played like the most minutes of the outfielders under Tuchel, but he's actually behind Kovacic, Jorginho, and Werner. But I think the thing that goes in Mount's favour is that he's been playing higher up under Tuchel. He's on set pieces, and he's probably the most informed Chelsea attacker he's the most consistent one, getting points anyway. But for the defenders, I think Azpi will get a rest at some point because of his age. But I think you have to take that risk, don't you? But like he's clearly the favoured option.
He gets a lot of his bonus point score is very good as well. I think Azpilicueta always has been.
So I think Azpi and Rudiger are great shouts. If you're feeling a bit more out there, there's Alonso who just looks so attacking when he plays. And the thing to mention with Chelsea is that with the defenders, Tuchel doesn't seem to take them off. So if you took a gamble on someone like Alonso, I don't think he'd get subbed on, if you see what I mean. So you'd get
right. Yeah. So you'd get the insurance of whoever's on your bench.
Yeah. So if you have someone decent enough as your first bench player, for example, Luke Shaw, which people had this week when Rudiger didn't play, you've got the assurance of those points coming off your bench. So these fixtures that Chelsea got coming up, like people who are looking to take a risk and rise up the ranks, that could be a way of attacking it. And then for people who are free hitting, they can get the Chelsea players in this week, because you'd probably say that Chelsea got the best fixture this week, so they'd be a great team to captain someone from this week.
Yeah, and the 3 games that follow the free hit are great too. Yeah, so if I was to make a transfer this week, I've got the Spurs boys in already, then Chelsea's the team to target.
So if you're free hitting in 29, that's probably where I'd be looking for my transfer this week. The only thing that puts me off a little bit is Leeds' pitch. It's still causing problems, like with people slipping and teams taking like 20-30 minutes to adjust to it when they play. So it depends how much you read into that. But there's
the only frustrate.
Go
on, carry on your point.
No, I was just tailing off, to be honest.
All right. The only frustrating thing looking at that minutes is Werner, because I've watched him recently and he looks lightning. I know he had the goal against Thingy that was ruled out. It was only just offside. I can't remember who they were playing now. But Tuchel obviously fancies him, and if he does get a few goals, I think that would be a bandwagon if he got a couple of goals. But it's whether them goals are ever going to come is the question. But Tuchel's obviously playing him.
Yeah, he seems to be getting more out of the German too, doesn't he? Out of Havertz and Werner. But I'm going to use the next few weeks to have a look at that and see what I think. It'd be the Chelsea player I get in next will be a defender.
Yeah, I'm definitely doubling up on the wild card. I think that's the way to go on 31, and then you kind of assess the attacking options and maybe get the triple up with an attacking option. But you just don't know who it's going to be yet. No one's really emerged, have they?
Yeah.
As the one to get as the attacking wise.
So we best get into the questions before we run out of time. We've got a few.
Yeah, we've got quite a few, haven't we? Run through.
Have you got them there to hand?
Yeah, I'll just get up our famous FPL Mansion group. So the first one is from Zach, and he said, "Who the Plank game week must-haves?" I think that means in 29. I don't know if you want to tell him whether now he's overtaken you.
I'm just checking the. So there's currently 6 points in it between me and Zach. Best options for game week 29. You've got to be looking at the Newcastle boys, haven't you? No, well, I think obviously we've talked a lot about Tottenham, but yeah, them basically. And then I'd probably say after that, it's between Arsenal and West Ham, but they play each other.
Yeah,
Something I
that
wanted to
Fulham
talk
game's
about.
come at the wrong time for Leeds, hasn't it? Like 5 or 6 game weeks ago, you'd say that, but Fulham look really good at the moment.
So something I wanted to talk about is, who do you think the best option from West Ham is? Because I was firmly in Antonio and I brought him in last week, but he didn't have a shot against Crystal Palace.
Yeah, and that people were talking about actually that Palace game. I think from about 70 minutes onwards, he basically couldn't move. He was just like walking about. You could see that he was absolutely done in. And Moyes just didn't want to take him off. I wonder if that's going to become an issue, because who did they bring on as a striker? Like there is no one, is there?
No. So yeah, I actually think Lingard's probably the best option now from West Ham, isn't he? Well, Lingard or Cresswell. So
Yeah.
Cresswell, I don't know if you remember, but like game week 4 or 5, I was like flagging up the assist potential stats for Cresswell with the amount of crosses he was putting in, and he's like fully delivered on that. Is he the highest scoring defender in the game now?
Probably not far away. He's helped by the mammoth that is Craig Dawson. Remember, again, West Brom, he was a machine as well, wasn't he, from corners?
Cresswell's the highest scoring defender in the game. He's 12 points ahead of Diaz.
Wow.
So it's hard
Yeah,
to argue with that.
Wan-Bissaka third. What? That's the first time I've seen that. Wow, that's a shock.
So the thing with Cresswell is like there's all the clean sheets that you get with West Ham. He's got 10 assists, and he doesn't even need an assist to get 3 bonus points when West Ham get a clean sheet, because the amount of crosses he's putting in helps his baseline bonus to the point where he just gets 3 bonus points, and then the assists he's get don't even matter for him getting 3 bonus. So I think if you're free hitting in 29, Cresswell looks a bit of a shoe-in, doesn't he?
Did not know he's top, and I've not owned him once this year. Have you?
No, I think because even though I liked him and we bigged him up earlier in the season, Soufal was just, I think I needed the money, so I went Soufal or Chufal, however you say it.
Right, yeah, 133 points. The next question. So we're in agreement there with Spurs, aren't we? Brighton's probably the other one if I was free hitting that Newcastle game at home.
Yeah, so someone to mention from Brighton, if you need a cheap defender, is Veltman, 4.3, because Lamptey's been ruled out for the season. So yeah, Veltman at 4.3. You'd think Newcastle are going to struggle to score with their injuries, and Brighton don't. They're infamous for sort of being good on expected goal stats, but still conceding goals. But just a cheap option to mention if you need that cheap option to get all the Spurs boys in or something. Last question.
Well, I think we've got 4 in total. I think one's a joke off my brother saying, "Is there an FPL Samaritans helpline?" He got 30 points, which is a bit tough. I think we've all been there, haven't we? I remember you in the first few game weeks of the season. I thought you were going to call it quits.
Well, he wants to get himself down to Wetherspoons at Piers Morgan, drown his sorrows. Both having tough weeks, by the sounds of
it. Another one from Varun. We're going to talk about how we pronounce his name every week, aren't we? But he says, will Pep Roulette get worse with the Champions League heating up? I think we're both in agreement that yes. It's not just the Champions League, but it's the Carling Cup and the FA Cup as well. I think with the hunt for the quadruple, I think the cup games are going to see City play best team or Pep plays best team. So I think the answer is yes for me, but is it the same for you?
Well, I think it's already been really bad, hasn't it? I think what'll happen is the dynamic of it might change. So his preferred players like Diaz, Mahrez, KDB, for example, they might start getting rested more, and then the others will play more in the league because he'll be saving the legs of his preferred options for the Champions League. If you see what I mean?
Yeah, I think it might have been different if we were still going for that win record. I think he might have still been more focused on winning Premier League games. But I think there's no record now that we can beat in the Premier League. So it's almost as if once that's sewn up, the emphasis will be on the cup competitions.
Yeah, it's so hard to advise anything with City. The other thing is that Pep sometimes says that he wants his players to have rhythm, like, and that sort of thing. So, maybe KDB will still get 90 before an important game in the Champions League, so that he's in the flow of it. It's just impossible.
Yeah, they won't be dropped completely in the league. They won't be playing like the kids, like you say. He'll still be keeping the rhythm going. But yeah, the minutes will be managed.
So yeah, I'm not really sure what to say for City. Like the games will continue basically.
The next one,
my approach to it, just to say, was with having Gundogan and Foden, they're cheap enough that you're not that bothered. So if you are like worried about it a lot, maybe just go for the cheaper ones.
Yeah, I think that's not a bad play, because I've been very tempted by De Bruyne, especially after midweek. But then, do you really want like Pep roulette with a £12 million midfielder? Like you say, if it's Foden or Gundogan, you can kind of have a Lingard or someone else on your bench that can come in and slot in. Whereas you've got De Bruyne, it'll be Dale Stephens or someone like that.
Yeah.
No offense to Dale Stephens. Next one is from Josh. It's probably the last chance saloon by the sounds of it. Would you go Sterling to Bale or Son this week?
I think if Son or Bale get rested tonight in Europa, I'd probably definitely do that. I don't know what do you think?
Yeah, I'm more swayed by the romance of Bale, and his stats are backing it up now. And like you say, I think Son plays every game, so I think he'll play tonight. But there's going to be one that is going to be rested. It'll be Bale tonight, just to manage his minutes, and that'll be the defining factor for me.
The other reason I'm recommending it is I just would love to see Sterling then start at the weekend and get a haul, because Josh has had captained him for both City double game weeks and got something like 3 or 4 points from him. So it's almost written in the stars for him to finally haul when he least expects it. But yeah, it's a tricky position to be in, that one. I don't know what I'd do in that situation.
Yeah, we've had some good questions to speak. Josh again, other Josh is all in on Spurs as well, so he was very intrigued to what we'd say for that one. So I think the Bale, I've not looked, but I presume he's the most transferred in this week, or is it? It's Luke Shaw, isn't it? Luke Shaw and Cresswell. Oh no, that's just defenders. Apologies. It's Kane, Bale, Mount, Shaw, which comes as no shock.
Yeah. Yeah, we best wrap up there. We've
had a bumper episode.
Well, yeah, especially for a lunchtime one. So yeah, good luck with your prep for 29, whether you're free hitting or not. And Pep roulette continues. Tuchel's joined him at the table, and it just seems to be getting harder in that sense, with like the teams you want to target are just so there's no certainty around them. But gives us something to talk about anyway, doesn't it? But
yeah, good luck this week. It's refreshing to have a game week with 10 games. That's all. Obviously, it's going to be a one-off with the 4 game weeks after that. 4 games after that. So yeah, enjoy it.
And for regular listeners, it seems that there's still nothing exciting going on with Callum's team. He's still in missionary. We'll see if he experiments.
All right, Mr. Gundogan, you're hardly putting yourself into some unique positions, are you?
If you don't understand that that joke, sex position joke, we're not freaks. It's a joke from last week's podcast. But yeah, we'll end it there. See you next week.
See you.